Bhargav sir, should we start or we should wait?
Uh, yes. I invite
Yes,
Professor Anis sir to introduce our today's expert. Yes, Anis sir, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. Uh, we have today to Dipen Parmar, sir. He is a manager at System Level Solution India Private Limited. He is a 10 years of experience in the industries with a strong pre-RTOS and Linux OS knowledge. He is also working into the IoT framework. He is also leading in the charge of the Nebula IoT framework with the various Nebulink device like gateway, nodes, and other components, which can be used to make use cases for the smart city or smart industry with Industry 4.0 roadmap. He is also leading in charge or FOTA, firmware over the air, from framework development for IoT device. He is also work as a lead service team for the UK GBCS smart metering implementation program. He is also a lead product team member of the TSCH Training Simulator Communication Hub and also work as a consultant with Qualcomm India for new chipset bring up and development of Android Linux driver for different ADC sensor and bus access like DMA engine. He also worked on a driver porting from 32-bit to 64 for first Qualcomm 64-bit mobile chipset. I welcome Dipen sir to give his wonderful session on review of RIST RON variable. In that, he is going to include the sensor, models, and challenges. Welcome, Dipen sir.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. So I think as you explained the details, like I'm mainly into the working onto the IoT infrastructure projects and the development. And again, this is the area where I think this is the emerging area. If you see that where we are seeing the boom of the wearable devices into the world, and due to this pandemic, this particular rise has been like doubled if you consider. So we'll see onto the slides. So if we talk about the history, right, like all of us know that how overall uses of the different digital devices uh, came up since the computer and the phones has been invented, and then gradually now it's become of the our daily life need if we consider. So if we consider in today's scenario by 2021, like major areas which are covered by the digitalizations are the wireless sensors or the devices, mobile connectivity, social networking, genomics, internet, imaging, data universe, and health info systems. So these are the certain key points which are considered. But apart of that, if we see like on a major industrial realization, Industry 4.0, and then it has catered to the different need of the like a smart industry 4.0, smart cities 4.0, agriculture 4.0, medical 4.0. So all this has been expanded, and now very soon we are entering into the kind of a 5.0 stage where this technologies has been miniaturized, and the power of the computations are being increased at the drastically. So if we just see the overall area, like there is a need prevention, like where if we consider that okay, anything which we can stop before it occurs, predictions where we can consider that okay, this can result into the certain kind of a.
Hello, Dipen sir. Hello. Hello, Dipen sir. I think we have some technical issue with the Dipen sir. Hello, Dipen sir. Are you able to hear me?
There might be
Participant,
some.
participant.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
participant, please wait. There is some technical issue. He will be joining. Yeah, he is right now here. So, Dipen
I
sir.
think there was some connectivity issue.
Oh, no problem. You can start.
Yeah. Okay. So screen is visible, right? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, sorry for the interruption. So I think I was talking about the prevention, prediction, management, and the diagnosis. I have included one more portion, disease, where I just added the reason because of that. The currently we are talking about the wrist-bound wearable devices, and during this pandemic, it has been a key part to consider as a digital device instead of the phone, because this gives us a lot of parameters which helps us to control and to prevent the overall pandemic. So this is just an in short of the history, and where it provides the lot of key inputs to do these steps and to do the mitigations. If I talk about the very simple definition, or if I talk about the layman terms, so wearable itself says that okay, the gadgets or the devices which can be worn onto the body, and these devices usually have a smart sensors and are connected to the internet to transmit, log, and analyze the data. So nowadays, if we see a very simple example about this, our smartwatch or the smart belts, all this provides all these sorts of the information. Apart from that, there are so many other wearable devices which are utilized for the different purposes, except the tracking of the different activities. So like if I just talk a very simple example where like the construction is ongoing, and now the company has to take care about the employees, that okay, if any employee is not getting harm, or if anything happens to the employee, there should be a SOS message has to be occurred. So that kind of use cases are also available there, except the smartwatches. But all this comes under the wearable, where you can get the data, you can analyze that, and based on that, you can do the certain kind of activities. If we talk about the very specific WWD devices, which are the wrist-worn wearable devices, like those devices are very specifically which we use as a kind of a smartwatch or smart belt, and they tied up around the our wrist. So if we consider that if we want to develop, or if any device we see which is developed and available into the market, they are mainly composing of the these three fields: computer science, psychology, and electrical engineering. So if you talk about the electrical engineering, so where we will need a hardware which does all of this computing, taking this data, sending it to the different interfaces, and then it is available to do a lot of other manipulations and operations. So where the computer science comes up, where the artificial intelligence, computer vision, and the social science related algorithms and processes can happen, and that gives us a very good information about the particular human being. So if we consider the simple sensor of a temperature sensor, which provides the temperature data on every 1 minute, let's say. But if we are just getting a temperature data, and if we use these IoT devices, it is not a useful. But if we feed this data to AI or certain kind of algorithms, which predicts, and then it gives us the output to identify our human body pattern, that okay, these are the scenarios, these are the particular environment we are facing the temperature changes. So that help us to the in terms of the medical context. If we talk about the third part, the HCI, where it's a human computing interaction. So again, these are the psychological behaviors where it helps us in terms of medical and non-medical activities. So now it may help me that, okay, how much time I spent while sleeping, how much time I spent onto the particular place while sitting. So all these inputs provided from the computer science and combining together the psychology, it helps us to identify the human pattern of the particular person or particular group. So I have just taken one simple use case, and again, due to the corona pandemic, I just try to make it very easy that where wearable devices are really useful in terms of that. So if we see the one by one with the contrast, like the first one on leftmost is said the physician centered. We can convert this as a patient focus. So using the wearable devices, we get all the different data, and this data can be fed to the particular doctor or the particular medical institute. That helps us to identify this information, and then the particular patient can be monitored. The next is the isolated individual. So now if you see, right, someone just posts the message that, okay, I did cycling from this many to this many kilometer, I did this many I took this many steps today. So this kind of a socially connected information can be available, and that can be usable into the inspirational form on the healthy person. Yeah, there are certain problems around that, we'll talk about that. Sick care, health and well-being. So in case if we talk that, okay, if there is a aged person and who is staying into the home alone, right? So if he has some certain problem or illnesses, those can be easily identified via remotely. Limited consequences. So now again, as I talk that, okay, if we want to make our society healthy, right, using this kind of devices which provide that, okay, this many person or this group of the person are doing these activities daily, and this is what the health benefits they are getting. This kind of incentives that help them to inspire to come into this particular use case and to be a healthy. If we talk about the limited engagement, or the if we can take the contrast, highly engagement or empower. So again, it is the same thing where I talk about the consequences. It helps us to engage the people more and more about the healthy lifestyle. Inaccessible and convenient, or 24/7. So normally when we have the normal devices or the digital but not connected devices at our home, we identify a lot of parameters about our temperature and the body vitals, but we are not able to get constant information about that. So using this kind of a wearable devices, it helps us to keep activated, alive about this system, that, okay, what is happening to our body, and that can be fed back to the different systems to do the lot of other processing. Transactionals or isolating, or the care team manage. So this is again same as a sick care, where like the care team can be known onto the all the vitals about the patients being hospitalized. Office hours or the virtually or mobile. So now we see a lot of time, or we see the situation that, okay, if doctor is not available, if he is outside, or if we are at home and if something happens and if you are not able to connect. But using these devices, it helps us to connect virtually anywhere from any kind of a device, and that helps us to provide the best medical services from the institutes. So if we just see this overall use case, and if we see all the points, right, these are the real benefits it provides. There are couple of problems as well around that, or if we say the challenges which can be resolved, but there are key factors need to be taken care on that. But if you see overall, this is really helping, and according to the latest reports by the different statistics companies, it says that in this pandemic year, in last 2 years, overall wearable market has been extended to the 2x or 3x devices adoptions. Now almost every household has one smartwatch or smart belt according to the studies. So I'll move to the market trend. As I told about the statistics, if we see in by 2016, there were only 325 million connected wearable devices, and those were very specifically to the industrial applications, not to the particular user or into the health domain. Gradually, slowly, they were increasing to by 2017, 2018, 19. If you see, it's a kind of a linear mapping happening. And according to the current state, it should be a 920 out of 925, 929. It should be around 1,000, but it shows 1,105, and this is still increasing if you consider. So if we see the growth, yes, a lot of things has been changed. The market is adopting this as much fast, and we need to see the reasons as well. And thus, a lot of people has started to understand this technology, and they want to extend this technology as much as possible for the so many other use cases except the medical, because it has a lot of other benefits which can be used if we consider the sensor per sensor use cases. And that is what we are going to talk about into the next slides. So now if we talk about the basic ecosystem of the any wearable device or connected device. So this device will consist of the some kind of a graphical user interface. This device will have the number of sensors connected that which are somehow attached to the body via wrist, and then it collects the number of vitals. All this data will be reach to the device. Once it reaches, it cannot have the storage, so it will automatically send to the some kind of wireless network. Like a lot of protocols are available there, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and Sigfox and etc. So we need some form of a gateway, because these devices are very miniature and they don't have a lot of facility where they can directly communicate to the internet. So there are a couple of gateways or a couple of devices which can be used as a concentrator to pass this data to the cloud. And this is where the main use case comes, as I said about the three verticals. So if you see WWD and gateway, both are the electrical engineering parts. The cloud and the analytics are the part of the computer science, where it helps to identify the different patterns of the depending on the sensor, using the multiple sensor, different patterns of the activity. And then these are fed to the different analytics and the algorithms, which helps us to define different prediction models. Those models can fed back to the user on a user interface, and then this helps us to identify or to helps us to make our life much more easier if we consider about the wearable devices. So this is the overall ecosystem where it works. Generally, the gateway, cloud, and analytics, these three parts are modified or used interchangeably depending on the need. So there might be a wearable device which may do a communication to only a local gateway, or it just gives us the signal back or in form of the SOS alerts or the notification, and it may not need of the cloud or analytics. Reason being that basic analytics or basic decision making rules were already available into the your wristwatch. So if I just talk about the earlier use case, what I talked, that the employee tracking into the particular construction area. So now that doesn't require that the data need to be fed back to the cloud, and then you need to run the analytics, and then you need to see on the nice dashboard or some kind of a form. But the basic need, if we consider that they want to protect their employees, if there are no movements or anything which is any vitals are not into the limit, they want to activate the alarms locally, and then they want somebody to reach to that person and help him immediately. So this ecosystem is like a plug and play kind of a stuff. Definitely there is a real use case if we collect this information to cloud analytics and then we take it to the user level, but it may or may not necessary. So it depends on a use case. But now if we use a smartwatch, right, so we need everything onto the our single dial, and we want to see that, okay, what was my temperature currently, what is my what is the activity, what I have done today. So in that context, yes, it requires the cloud connectivity somewhere, and which provides you the month data or month chart that, okay, in this month, this many steps you have done. If you do this many more, you will have the benefit into reduction of weight and other health conditions. So it depends on the use case, but if you consider the ecosystem, these are the major 5 blocks which are required to make any wearable device. How? These are the key parts, the sensors, the key parts onto the connectivity, and the key parts onto the algorithms. So now I will move to the sensors. If you see the first circle on the top, it lists out all the different connectivity options. The leftmost area, which provides the ECG, body, and other sensors which can be connected to the human body, and then it collects the data. The third circle, rightmost circle, which provides the information about the sensors, which helps to track the different kind of activity or different kind of a movement, and then it takes to it helps to take the certain decisions. So let's talk one by one. Like first of all, I will start with the leftmost sensors, right, which are the key point for the any wearable devices into the world. And if you see in today's market, right, there are a number of devices comes with the single sensor or multi-sensor, and with the different options and different suggestions or these different alerts. So first of all, if we talk about the ECG, like electrocardiogram, where we can identify the heart patterns, and then it helps us to connect with the doctor if we see any abnormalities. Body temperature is a key part now due to the COVID, like in terms of the fever, and our body is normally showing the fever, right? It is not a problem or it is not a disease, right? Fever is a symptom which shows us that our body is trying to react to something, and that react is is either fighting or either losing our body somewhere. So we need to identify this fever symptom, and then we need to rectify that what are the problems can be occur. So using temperature sensor with other sensor, it helps this kind of uses. So but mostly if you see whatever the device is available to the market, they just give you the data about that, okay, this is your temperature in a month or in a particular day time, and this is the increase or decrease, and we see a nice graph. But if you see the actual use case, so this is the use case where it gives you the indication that yes, body has something wrong. And then if you take about the any other sensor inputs, and if you identify the use case, that what can be the problem, and now what medications we needed. So this is how all the sensors are useful. The heart rate monitoring, again, as I said that, okay, heart rate monitoring, heart rate are also getting changed onto the different factors. Like if we are jumping, if we are running, if we are walking fast, right, or if we are just taking any heavy luggage and putting it somewhere place. So it depends on the number of things, but we needed to see the actual data which are coming from the heart rate, and based on that, it needs to be combined with the different sensors again. Similar way, the blood pressure, the SpO2 oxygen levels, all are the sensors which are connected to our wrist. And using the wrist, we are able to identify this parameter, and then this will feed back to the systems. Now, if you see the rightmost portion, right, the gyroscope, accelerometer, magnetometer, proximity sensor, location of the GPS sensors. So all the sensors are supportive sensors to make the decision onto the particular human body. So now let's assume that I'm walking very fast. So depending on the gyroscope, accelerometer, and magnetometer, all these three together combined and gives us the result to see that, okay, what pace I was at what pace I was running, what was the movement of the body in terms of my hand, the other part, right? And same time, if we club with the leftmost sensors, then it gives me a very accurate parameters or the vitals to make the decision onto my healthy life, or if I'm healthy or not. Similar way, proximity and location or GPS sensors are being used into the very specific use case, that if you see that there is a elder person who is into the home alone, and if he is not moving from the certain from the bed or from specific place certain minutes or certain hours, right? Then there can be the alerts, and there can be identified that there has been something wrong to that particular adult, and someone need to go there and check. Similar way, the location and GPS tracking helps us to identify that, okay, if person is moving, if we take the use case of the tracking of the employees into the construction area. So GPS will help us to identify that, okay, where the person is there. But again, the drawback, if you see that only GPS may not work into the all areas, because GPS also certain limits. It needs to lock down to the satellites, and then has to identify the latitudes and longitudes. So it should not work as an alone. Like, we need to choose that, and depending on that, what are the other sensors we need to choose together. So I'm just trying to put all these use cases with the particular sensors. Why? Because if we are planning to make any wearable devices, right, it's not something that, okay, in market somebody is giving the temperature, temperature, body heart rate, blood pressure, SpO2, ECG, and someone is just giving the all IMU sensors, right? So we should just club it, and then we just need to give the data with the small dials into the screen, right? This is not a useful case. So we need to select each sensors depending on the use case, what parameters with in combination or in conjunction with the other sensor it is helping. That's what we need to identify. Now, as I talk, both the sensors are useful in the context where we talk about the wearable devices and where we want to do a local alert system. But if we want to take this data to somewhere into the cloud, and then we want to do a lot of analytics algorithms on top of that, and then it helps to do predictions of the different use case or different patterns or signals, we must need to have the connectivity. And if we see in general, so there are the connectivities are available into the current market devices, and there are a lot of research are happening still to adopt the new technologies, because a lot of factors are affecting or the challenges we will discuss into the next slide. But if I talk about the cellular, I think everybody of us know about the cellular, like has used the cell phone, so 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, or the upcoming NB IoT technology. So all these technologies are having the long range connectivity. They do not require intermediary concentrator or gateway. But if we consider the use case, they required a very large battery. So you need to do a lot of charge. I mean, if we use daily basis, then we need to do a daily basis charges if it is a really good product. Otherwise, it drains all the battery within 1 hour to 2 hours. If we talk about the Wi-Fi, I think this is again a very household technology, like every one of us are using. It provides a very large bandwidth. We can do a communication into the Mbps. Still, the problem comes into the battery again. The NFC is so far a very short range technology, but it mainly used for the payments and the configurations or communication kind of use cases. Bluetooth is, I think, if we consider, very successful technology into the wearables as of now, because of it provides the good communication rate, as well as it uses a very, very low battery in terms of the communication. So if you see this technology, and as I have explained here, that okay, the cellular, Wi-Fi, NFC, and Bluetooth, but all of them have a different use case if we consider in terms of the particular industry. If we talk about the medical, or if we talk about the normal just smartwatch case, then the Bluetooth is one of the best thing. If I come on to the LoRa and Sigfox, which is lesser known currently, but yes, it's gaining very speedily into this market. So LoRa and Sigfox both are the long range communication technology. They have a very limited data bandwidth. They are considered as a low power communication technology similar to Bluetooth, but they have a very long range in terms of. So they again do not require a gateways at every single home or every single places. You can think of that they require only single gateway on a city wide. Within the 5 to 10 kilometers of the radius, and that will not need to a daily connected. It needs a synchronization time. So you can think of that, okay, every day 2 times or 4 times it gets connected and it sends the data to the central server. So these are the new technologies which are coming into the market, and still so many research are happening that if we can reduce the overall burden of the radio technology with the different methods in terms of the power or battery communication, in terms of the size, in terms of the heat dissipations and all that stuff. So any point of time, if we are choosing the sensors for the wearable technology, these three key most portions has to be taken. Now, if we talk about the sensors, so in sensor, the other area is mainly about the size and the accuracy. So there are so many companies who are doing a lot of investment and keep adding the new sensors into the market. But if we consider the use case, depending if we consider the use case, all of the sensors does not come up with the same level of accuracy. So if you have seen, or if anybody has the kind of a smartwatch or the smart belt before 5 years ago or 6 years ago, right? Or even if I talk before that, so there were a small pedometers were coming, like people were using with the button cell, right? So they were just tracking the steps what you have taken, right? So during that, if you see, there were a lot of problems. So like they were mean to do a walking or running activity, but if you do a stepping, or if you are just standing idle, and if you are just moving your leg or hand, right, or body, they were counting the steps. So these were the initial problems where the accuracy was not there. Later on, if you see, just before 5 years ago, like there were a lot of smartwatches came up when the industry giants came up with this idea, and then slowly, gradually, this came up. So a lot of things improved. The sensor connectivity were improved. A lot of algorithms came back to remove the anomalies. So, like as I said, that okay, the sensor has to detect if I'm walking or not. So depending on to the another sensor, it identifies that okay, if I'm standing and I'm just moving my body, or is it really I'm walking or running. So those kind of enhancements happen into the before 5 years ago. Still they were very low time provider into the battery consumptions, because they need to keep charging, right? They needed to do a lot of connectivity, they needed to do a lot of connection, because you need to remove the strap, you need to remove the dial, and then you need to attach the cable, and then you need to connect. So they were not in terms of the certain ratings. But now today's whatever the sensors are coming, they are making the overall system small and small possible. So all the sensors are into the nanometers, and then they provide the accuracy in any context. If you see in between 0 to 0.01 or 0.03 percentage in terms of accuracy. So these are their sensors. I will move to the next slide. So these are the signals of patterns which we identify, and to identify the sensor for our use case, these are the main 6 blocks which can be seen. So if we talk about the if we talk about the activity tracking, which is the first one. So as I talked, that this helps to identify a lot of activities like a sleep, walk, running, tracking, and any other movements. And depending on that, this data can be fed back to the cloud and the analytics engines to identify that okay, how much I sleep today, how much I walk today, how much I ran today, and all this information will help me to calculate certain other things, where I can see that okay, if I run 100 meters, I will burn this much of calorie. So all these are the calculations made according to the activity trackings in most of the wearable devices. If you see, if we move to the next, vital collections, so we need a very good sensors, as I talked into the sensors area. So ECG, temperature, SpO2, BP, heart rate, and many more, where we are able to collect this data on a periodically, and then we are doing this analytics on top of it again. Third is a social distancing. So I think this is a new use case which came up into the recent time due to the pandemic, where like this was the key area, that where two person must need to maintain a 6 feet distance. So this helps us to identify if two person comes up with the same technology, and then it raises the alert that you must need to be apart from a certain distance. So this is the signals again. So it's not any particular one sensor, but it identifies into the many factor that okay, if it is the same devices, if both devices are in the same sync, the same cloud, they have some kind of a proximity sensors, and then it depends onto the environment where they are predicting this data, if it is office, if it is a workplace, or if it is place. Because if you are into the somewhere into the public transport, right? So now you need to identify that okay, if both the devices are connected to a same cloud, or both devices have the same radio technology or sensor technology, then only it will give you the alert. Otherwise it will not give you if you have two different sensors, because some sensor might have the long distance, some sensor has the short distance, and it may not give us the accurate data. Fourth is alert. As I talked about the SOS alerts, or then any notifications like the social distancing violations, any vital collections or thresholds are moving from up and down. Depending on to the use case, like if we consider payments, so as I talk about the NFC, so NFC is one of the best choice in terms of payment gateways, where you don't need to do any touching or touchless. Apart from that, there are the communication portions as we talk about the different technologies. Last is the human behavior experience. So all these inputs or all the use cases can give us the specific inputs in terms of the sensors or the patterns where we can predict the human behavior. So like if we talk about that, okay, if someone is having the different eating habits, if someone has a different mood recognition, so like someone had a very good mood into the morning, someone had the bad mood into the evening, so that all identifies depending on this sensors detections, and then all the inputs we fed to the our analytics. So this basically helps us to identify the sensors what to be used into the variable system. So if we move to the next slide, where the models, nowadays, like there are a lot of models which are running onto the wearable devices. There are two key models mainly categorized by the one of the researcher team, where the machine learning and the threshold based learning. So if we talk about the machine learning, then as whatever I have explained you till this point, that whatever the sensors the data we are collecting, we are feeding it to some system, and then based on that system we are able to do a prediction, prevention kind of alerts and the patterns. So all the sensors will give us the data. Based on data, this machine learning algorithms will enhance this information, and using this enhanced information, this will provide us the lot of alerts or the inputs can be utilized by the user or can be utilized by the different machines or different things to do a communication. The other model is the threshold based model. So all the sensors, like if we just talk about the heart rate, so heart rate monitor, we know that okay, this sensor will give us the heart rate monitoring between 70 to 90. So depending on that threshold, there are a lot of models are developed, and based on that models, the local algorithms which runs onto the system, so they may not need a lot of predictions, but manual conditions. And if you just talk that decision making rules onto the system. So below are the couple of examples of the support vector machine, k-nearest neighbors, deep neural network, which is I think highly used into the existing devices or the existing smart watches available into the market. Still, these models are not fixed for the any particular use cases. The reason being that it needs to identify the use case in that okay, how this data or how the sensor data will help to mitigate the lot of problems on being the product development. So it's not something that okay, we always take this data and we always need to push it to the algorithms. Yes, there is a trend in terms of smartwatch, but if we talk in general wrist wearable devices for the all over the world, then it's not the same. So this is the main key area when we are designing or developing a particular wearable devices, where these are the key challenges, and this challenge has to take care. Again, I will say that this is a very specific use case based challenges, because in one use case, one particular challenge is the problem. In one use case, it may not. So we need to identify using the different analysis that, okay, do we really need this solutions, or do we really going to face these challenges or not? And based on that, we need to choose our technologies into the sensor and model, and then go ahead to the product development. So I will start with the first thing, battery and heating problems. So in general, nowadays, if we talk that we need a device which should be connected onto your wrist, and then it has to run onto the battery, because you cannot plug any electricity supplies. So now to run on the battery, there are depending factors from these challenges, where you need to have a smallest form factor, but it's still give us the enough power to run all the different sensors 24/7. So the battery selection is very crucial area, and currently any device, if you see into the market, they generally come between the 240 milliamp h to 300 mAh. So in general, that is where they provide. And if you see the battery range, it starts from the 1 day to 10 day to 30 days, depending on the sensors or the particular methods are deployed into that. So as I said, it depends on the use case, what I'm trying to track. If my device is just getting waked up if there is an activity, and then I just want to send the alert or the activate some kind of alarm or event, then I don't need a battery which longs last for the, or I need a heavy power battery, because this battery can with the lowest mAh, it can long last. But if I am just tracking the data on a smartwatch, and if I'm just having the different watch faces and different clocks and different parameters or different dials, right? So on that cases, I need a very good amount of the battery power, which it can withstand for the 1 day to 10 day. So again, that is a criteria where you need to choose. Second thing, as I said about the heating. So normally, if we understand, or if we see, or if I take a very simple example, if you use laptop, and if we see that there is a heating happening onto the below side, right? So now if we use a cooling pad, right, automatically it helps us to reduce the temperature of the particular laptop, right? Even though you are not directly connected, it's just touching it. And if you see that the larger surface area helps to reduce the heat or the heat dissipation. So this is a normal principle into the electronics, that whatever the electronics device you use, it must need to have a sufficient surface area to dissipate its heating. Otherwise, there will be a problems into the device operation. It may not achieve its accuracy, or it may not function properly. So in this case, if we consider heating is most needed, reason is that we are keep making the parts small and small, because we need to fit this onto our wrist. And in same time, if you see that the heat dissipation area is very reduced, so it is a big challenge that how your design is there, and then how you manage it. So again, there is a challenge if I talk that, okay, I can have some cooling vents similar to laptop, but then the problem comes up onto the usability, IP ratings, because this can be used into the any environment where it can resist at least a water species, so it should not stop functioning. So all these are problems around the battery and heating. Depending on the use case, we can choose what has to be modified. Second is the accurate reading. I think I already talked about that. If we take the different sensors, or if I just take the temperature sensor, so from the one manufacturer and second manufacturer, there are a lot of differences in terms of the accuracy, because someone gives us the 1 degree accuracy, someone gives me a 0.5 degree accuracy, and some sensors comes up with a 0.01 degree accuracy. So if we understand, or if we want to get the as much as accurate devices, that is possible, but definitely there are a lot of consequences as well around that, in terms of the cost and the other stuff, power uses. So we need to see that, okay, how much accurate readings we need to reach, and or we can identify what is our threshold depending on the use case. Third, most crucial part, the firmware update. So nowadays, I think most of us are aware about the Android devices or Android wearable devices or the Tizen wearable devices, which is the major market using the OSs. So any point of time, they have certain problems, or if we say certain bugs into the system, they must need to rectify them, and that has to be updated periodically, because this glitches, or if we say that these problems cannot leave it around, because there are a lot of problems occurs due to this onto the data privacy and the user experiences. So the firmware update has to be a key part. Whenever there is something needed to be updated, the device should have this interface in some form of, as I talk about the devices where we don't need the cloud connectivity or the internet connectivity or a gateway. In that case, this is a very problematic case. So maybe you need to open this device and then you need to update manually, and this is a very cumbersome approach if we have deployed these devices into the large scale. Fourth is a low memory footprints. So again, this connects to my earlier first point, because we are making these small devices and we need to fit everything which can come up onto our wrist. So we need to have the lowest memory footprint devices. And with that, the challenge comes up that you should not lose your user experience, because you need a nice dial, you need a nice graphics, nice 65K coloring impacts. So with all that, you must need a good amount of memory to do a processing on that side. Communication protocols. So as I explained that there is a Wi-Fi, there is a Bluetooth, Sigfox, LoRa, NFC, and the cellular connectivity. So depending on the use case, we need to identify that how much communication we need to do, and how much time we need to be alive to do this communication. So depending on that, we need to identify, we need to choose the protocol. So now if I just take an example about the same employee tracking onto the construction site. So now construction site has the wall all around that. Each wall is having the approximately 9 to 10 mm thickness. So with that, the Wi-Fi communication may not work, the Bluetooth communication may not work. All the employees are working on the different stages or different floors, so it's difficult to reach to the communication. We cannot use the GPS communication, again the problem, because it will not able to lock the GPS satellite from the ground floor. If it is a top floor, yes, it is possible. So when we are making this device, we have to choose it, that okay, how much communication we are relying, or how accurate communication we are getting. So there we need to do a combination of technology, and we can choose something like a Sigfox, where it allows you to do the communication with a very large range, and it can penetrate the communication out of these different walls of the building. In some cases, it may not work. So it may need a local repeaters or local gateways, or you need to do a combination of technologies together. But this will definitely hit onto your battery and the memory. If we go on to the safety and interoperability. So if we talk about the safety, you might think that, okay, what kind of a safety we feel with these devices? But if you consider these devices are again on a smaller footprint. It has clubbed all the sensors, and the major problem part is the battery. If the battery is enough tested and certified, then it is fine. But if it is not, it may have a chances to blast. On a very low scale, it can just harm you a little bit, but still it has a safety problems if you consider. The other thing is that in this kind of scenario where the employee tracking is happening, if your sensor data is not accurate enough, right, it may show us the inaccurate data that if employee has not moved from this particular place for the longer time, right, and if someone sends them a person, so it was a false alarm. But consider the other way around, it is showing that your employee is moving around and he is healthy, looks like, but in actual case the sensor was not working properly, and it was lying down there and was struggling to get it alive. So this kind of a safety problems comes up around the system. Second thing is the interoperability. So this is very key area where all the manufacturers or all the researchers has to think around that. Reason being that right now, if we see and go to the market, there are so many companies who make the different wearable devices. If I just talk about the very simple example of the Apple Watch, and if I talk about the MI Watch, so now if we consider, they both are talking onto the different protocols to the cloud and to the user. So at some point of time, we need to think that all these different devices should talk at one specific protocol, which can be utilized to data or to compare this data into the particular region. So assume that you have the two employees, and one is wearing the iOS watch and one is wearing the particular Android watch, which is something from the low cost, right? Now there is an external temperature happen or the into the environment. Apple Watch has the very good sensors, and it does the communication onto the different technologies. So it was able to communicate to the system administrator that okay, there is something around the ambient temperature, and this person's temperature is also increasing because of the iris effect. But now if we take about the another sensor device, it doesn't have the accurate sensor. It didn't have the regular protocol, so it was using some protocol which is not compliant to common. So in that case, it may be possible that this data or the particular device data is not reaching to the admin, and he may not able to help into that case. So interoperability is something where need to do a common communication, a common patterns, or somewhere common algorithm has to be done. This is a really big challenge because this is where most of the wearable devices companies are making money in terms of the accuracy algorithms. But yes, in the future it has to be identified, and this has been already adopted by the lot of other electronics devices or the electronics groups or the device manufacturers into the industry. If I go on to the seventh step, higher cost due to the miniature parts. So I think if we consider, we already discussed from the 1 to 6 that the making the best battery available to make the heat dissipations as much as possible, to get the accurate readings, to have the features like a firmware update, to make your device perfectly working with the communications and with the low memory footprints. All this comes at the certain stage or certain cost, right? And this cost will increase the overall wearable device cost, and it may reduce its own growth into the market compared to the other devices which comes at the low cost, still have the same sensors, but they don't have these parameters effectively organized. If I go to the next point, which is a user experience and weight. So if we talk about the user experience, as I said, that if you take one smartwatch and you see a lot of nice styles, you see a lot of nice watch faces, lot of dials, lot of different parameters or the different graphs, alerts, and everything. So now everyone of us, if we think about the wearable device, the first thing will come into our mind that okay, there is smartwatch. But it's not the case. As I said, depending on to the industry use case, these wearable devices may need or may not need a graphical user interface. Some devices may just need some kind of a buzzer. Some devices may need some kind of a vibrator. Some devices may need just an LED, right? And whatever the other, if we see the consumer devices like smartwatches, then we see the good IPS display where we can see a lot of symbols and identify. So again, it's a use case, how much user experience you want to pass depending on the particular use case, if it is a consumer or industrial. The second major criteria which comes into the challenge as a challenge, which is a weight, because everything we are putting at our wrist. So we must need to reduce the overall weight of the system, because without this, user may not feel to wear it all the time. And then the purpose itself is there that if user wears it 24/7, then only we'll get the feedbacks, and these feedbacks will help to do predictions or the or to help them. But if due to the weight and due to the user experience, if user is not using this device, or if it is removing the device, right? In terms of, if we just consider again the construction example, then this is not a useful, because if user takes out the wrist wearable, and then if we just put into the pocket, you may not get the proper data of your different sensors, or you may get the false alarms, and the overall use case or the overall installation itself gets a fail. So this is another key area where we need to identify that how we can improve this user experience. So user experience, it doesn't mean that, okay, user graphic experience, but all over the product experience. Ninth part, which is a data privacy. So I think all of us now know about the different problems onto the now all of us know about the problems currently into the government about the Twitter, Facebook, and all other things, and we know that what are the problems they are facing and what mitigations they are trying to come up. So ideally, if you see, so data is very, very important. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you're audible, sir. Yes,
Okay.
you're audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so on data privacy, if we are talking in India, it's already standardized. It's going to be a put into the market very soon by the government, and will be enforced by them. But if we consider the case study of the UK, where they have provided the GDPR, so which is the Great Britain Data Protection Rights, where they want to protect the each and every user's privacy informations. So let's then assume that if I am the user, hello.
Yes, explain, sir.
Okay. Okay, so where like this GDPR or this data privacy rules are very, very, very strict. So in India as well, or in overall worldwide, if you see any data which is being taken from the user is must need to be a filter, and has to be stored very, very properly. And whenever it needs to be a share to the other companies or other user group for the studies, user must need to be notified. The reason, if we consider that the wrist watch or the wrist smart watch is connected to a hand, which is sending the every hours of the data to the cloud or analytics. Now this data can be useful to predict your activities as well, right? To predict your different privacy informations, and can harm you. So this is where your device or your product challenge comes up. So you need to identify that, okay, do you really need the data privacy? Do you really asking your user that are they ready to share this data? Do you really planning to use this data for anybody else or any enhancement programs? So are you informing it to particular customer, or are you taking consent from the customers? So all these points has to be considered, and depending on to that, you need to identify the backend technologies like the server, cloud, and the analytics. The last part, the standardization. So if we talk about that, there is no single standardization right now for the wearable devices. Without that,
Slide is not changing, I think. The challenge is slide right now. So
yeah, I'm at the same. So I'm talking about the 10th challenge. No
okay,
standardization.
okay.
Okay, so as I talked about the standardization, if we consider, and if we want to make any electronics device, there are a lot of standardizations or the regulations where like you need to do a lot of CE certifications, FCE certification. In India, there is a WPC certifications. The components what we are using, those are the lead free. So ROHS certifications are needed. There are certain regulations by the government onto the communication. So like if we talk about the India, right, in India, 433 megahertz band or the communication band is not open for anybody, but outside of India this is open. The reason being that this band is particularly used by the police and the army at certain stages. But if you see the current Indian market or any RF devices, you see almost 40 to 50% products which are coming with the 433 megahertz. But there are no standards, so there are no any kind of penalties or no one feels that okay, we need to make sure on this. So this is something where we need to really see on a standardization. Very soon, people are talking onto this. So very soon, somewhere this standardization will start, and we'll see in future that these are the regulations in terms of the sensor selection, in terms of the communication of data, in terms of the product design, and data communication to cloud. So all this are look to be started because the growth has been started very faster, and people are very fastly adopting these technologies for the different use cases. If we see the last challenge, the single sensor versus many sensor. So all these 10 points, or if we see the 10 challenges, still they have the answers depending on to the your selection, whether you want in your product a single sensor or you want a multiple sensor. So if we consider just one single technology where we want to give the wrist wearable device to a elder home, and we want to track down just about that if they are moving or not, right? So in that case, we don't need a very large battery, we don't need a very accurate readings. In terms of that, in readings only we needed that okay, any kind of movement is there must need to be recorded. It may not need a firmware update. It may reduce overall memory footprint requirement. Certain cases, it may need a communication, but can be local via some kind of a gateways or cellular connectivity because it's particular use case. If we talk about the safety and interoperability, we must need a safety. Interoperability may not need for this particular use case. As we see, we are just using a single sensor, and it will reduce the overall cost. It may not need any kind of a user experience or the weight related problems because it is a single sensor based technology and it is doing the only one specific job at the time. The data privacy, again, the data which is not fed back to the outside of system, so still it can be controlled because it's not identifying anything or sharing anything onto the cloud or the analytics portal or the users. Of course, standardizations are needed. We must need to wait on to that. But if we see use case or the challenge, right? So if we make a single sensor or multi-sensor, let's say 2 to 3 sensor, depending on the use case, these challenges will reduce by themselves. But if we try to make, or if we try to fit the product, or if we try to fit the device like what we get into the market as a smart watch, which provides you all different activity, it provides all sensors, it gives you a 10-day beta battery, right? So then there are a couple of challenges together over here, as there is a survey which says that almost 46% of the people from the world, majority in the US, are saying that these devices are not like continue to be used by them. So they purchase them, they use it for a couple of days or a couple of months, and then they leave it. The reason is that it provides a lot of information which may not be useful for the particular use case. So if we just try to corner the area where we need to identify the use case, and depending that if we identify the all these 10 areas, the product or the product development of the wearable devices is not the big challenge. Yes, sir. So I think I hope the things are clear onto the sensors model and the overall system. So I'm open for the any questions.
Participant, if you have any question, you can ask. Your mic is, you can unmute and you can ask the question.
I'm not able to hear any questions, sir. Is anybody
Yes,
speaking?
yes, yes. I don't think so. Anyone is speaking.
Okay.
Let we give 1 minute to
Yeah.
participant.
Sure. Maybe you can ask them to put into the chat if needed.
Yes, we already opened the chat also, so they can ask it from the chat also.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box. What is the wireless standard used in smartwatches?
Okay. So into the smartwatches, measure it. I'm audible, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So in currently whatever the devices or smartwatches we are seeing, they are using the majority in terms of the Bluetooth, and couple of the companies are trying to use the Wi-Fi and the cellulars. So if we talk about the sensors which provide the larger batteries, they don't have the cellular or Wi-Fi. But if you talk about the devices which just stay for the 1 day or 2 day, right, they provide the mainly on a wireless.
Yes, sir. Another question is also there. Which sensor are suitable for ECG?
Okay, Kavita ji. Yeah. So basically, there are no fixed one sensor, right, for the ECG or PPG. Like there are so many manufacturers into the market. Many companies like Omron and other companies are doing and making the sensors, and they keep constantly working to reduce the overall size of the sensors. So again, as I said in my challenges, right, the challenge is onto this part that we need to identify the cost, right, and the accuracy of the sensor. So based on the use case we can choose that which ECG sensor we need to use. Normally, if I just give you the idea, right, if anybody is using the smartwatch from the any company, whether it's Apple or any kind of Android make, or whether it's low cost or high cost, right, if you see the documentation, they clearly mention one thing, that these devices should not be compared to the medical devices, or it should not be taken or considered as in a medical readings, right? So if you see this message, right, this clearly says that okay, the ECG what you are getting from your wristwatch, right, is not completely accurate or comparable to the ECG what you do at the medical institute, right? But this helps you to predict the certain nature up to the certain stages, and it helps you to identify that okay, you must need to visit or you must need to consult to a medical institute to see that okay, is there anything abnormal happened to me or not. So depending on that, now if I talk about the Apple Watch, right, so the cost itself, if you see, it's a 45,000 to 50,000, right? So they use a very high accurate reading based sensor devices. The reason that they apply a lot of algorithms behind that. But now if I talk any of the Android device or any of the local device which is not running on Android or any other ways, right, so they might not have this much of accuracy, and still they use ECG, right? They still give you the good graphs, but it is not the accurate enough according to the Apple, or it's not accurate enough even though with the actual medical devices which is available in the market. Because if you see the cost and if you see the miniaturity, right, this is a major problem. So whatever the device or ECG device you see, it has a very high signal strength. It has very high sampling strength. In these devices, due to the power uses, they do not able to provide that much of the sampling. So when you choose a sensor, you need to identify that for which use case you are making. If it is just a consumer product, that is fine, you can choose depending on cost analysis. But if you are really making a specific medical device or medical industry device, right, you must need to talk to the manufacturer. You need to identify all the different combinations in terms of the electrical parts, electrical characteristics, and the communication characteristics, or sorry, accuracy characteristics, and then you need to choose that. So majority, if you see all these manufacturers, right, they work with the specific company or manufacturer together, and they customize it depending on to their need. I hope I'm able to answer the question.
Yes, sir. We have another question. Is there any device which use IEEE 802.15.6?
Yes, ma'am. So ideally, there are a couple of devices in as I said, the non-smartwatch category. So for the industrial use case, there are many devices which uses the IEEE 802.15.6 using the Zigbee and 6LoWPAN, and couple of them use on a Z-Wave. So there are a couple of devices which use for the distance tracking, which use for the which you use for the employee tracking into the premises. So those uses this kind of protocols. Again, as I said, like there are so many other protocols like LoRa or Sigfox as well. So depending on the use case, because in my building I have a lot of devices which are connected on a Zigbee, right, and I'm able to control all the environment. So then the company choose to go with the particular product which provides the Zigbee based connectivity, and they don't want to bother about the backend systems where you need to spend some money onto the cloud. So yes, there are a lot of devices, but this is not available in market as a consumer. If you go and if you try to find out a very specific use case in terms of the employee tracking or the person tracking, right, it comes up there. And if I just talk about the very specifically as in a company, we are also working on the smartwatch where we are trying to make it a Sigfox based watch because it's a low power consumption and very high range communication. But again, this is not for the consumer market. This is for the industrial market to track the employees.
So another question that we all know that radiation emits by sensor is harmful to human body after a certain value. So what are precaution we should look into to choose a sensor which is going to be wearable for day-to-day life?
Yes, so I think I answered this question into this particular challenge, the safety and inoperability and the no standardization. So if you talk about the any country into the world, right, in terms of the radio communication or in terms of the radiation, there are a lot of different certifications needed like a C, RED, EMC, in India WPC. So all this must need to be applicable to these particular devices before they launch into the wide market to the customers. But as of now, there are no fixed standards. But if I talk as in a smartwatch, which is available in the market, right? So the majority of the companies try to spend the money to get it done with the CE or WBC now onwards. So this helps to reduce or to identify that any radio communication or any radio emission is happening is into the particular range. But it depends on to the product what you are taking. The reason is that there is a cost associated to these certifications, and every new version or every new modification of the device must need to do a recertification from the beginning. So majority of the devices which comes as a costly, they have the CE or particular certificates, but the low cost devices not sure onto that side that whether they do it or not.
Another question. Thank you, Dipen, sir. Thank you for your beautiful session. And it was really great session from your side. Very requesting all the participants join at 2 o'clock for the next.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you all BVM faculties and giving me the opportunity to speak out here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.